Have you ever taken a photo that otherwise would have been beautiful except the lighting just sucked? I'm Caroline Tran and I'm going to show you how to create beautiful photos even in the yuckiest lighting. For those who don't know, I used to collect dolls, and these dolls were actually how I first practiced photography. It's how I learned to shoot, actually. They were my first subjects. So I thought it would be appropriate to bring them back for the demonstration today. When you're in bad lighting, you basically only have two options. One, to turn it off. Two, to overpower it. When I have the option of turning off the bad lighting, that's what I do. However, there are situations where you can't turn it off. For example, if you're at a restaurant, if you're at a hotel, you can't just turn off the lights for the entire establishment. So in those situations, your other option is to overpower it. The first question I always ask myself when dealing with yucky lighting is how much of it do I want? So given the assumption that the light is yucky, let's assume that we actually don't want any of that ambient light on our subject's face. Sometimes the ambient light might stay on the background, and that's okay, as long as my subject's face is not lit by it. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna adjust my exposure to the point where my subjects go black. What this means is that if I had no flash, the camera would not be picking up any light on my subject at all, and it would look black. Now, I'm able to introduce my flash. Once I introduce a flash, the camera will only be picking up the amount of light that is actually on my subject. So when you're using a flash, you have two options. One is on-camera flash. I personally don't like on-camera flash because it just looks very right at you. My preference is to use an off-camera flash, like the Profoto C1 Plus. Using an off-camera flash is gonna allow me to move the light away from my camera and now at the optimal 45-degree angle. This is gonna give you the most flattering light. So those are my two tips for you when shooting in yucky lighting. One, use a off-camera flash and set it at 45 degrees from your subject. Two, ask yourself how much of the ambient light do you want? If you don't want any of the ambient light on your subject, turn your exposure all the way down till your subject looks black. Then you're only picking up whatever light the beautiful off-camera flash you're adding onto your subject. So with just these two little tips, you can also now create beautiful photos even in yucky lighting.